And welcome back to the Gabe and Walt show. I am Gabe, and I am joined by Walt, the only two people on the title of this podcast.
Yeah, that's
How you
kind of
doing,
how
man?
it works. Chilling, man.
How's the shoulder,
chilling.
actually?
The shoulder today is devastating because I still don't have full. So just so the fans can know what we're talking about, I guess it's kind of like insider stuff. I had rotator cuff surgery, and they had to reposition my bicep because I had bicipital tendinosis, right?
What?
So right now my bicep is going to be over here. They move the bicep muscle. I guess that's how they
What the
do.
heck?
Yeah, that's how they do rotator cuff surgery. So I'm probably, and that happened, and Gabe owns a dojo where he is my sensei, I guess, my teacher, my master, right? When it comes to
Just your
jujitsu.
coach.
Yeah, coach. And it happened over the summer, and it just kind of got worse and worse. And finally I went to an orthopedist, and he said, yeah, your shoulder's messed up. So on that note, I've been doing physical therapy for about 2 months.
How's the progress?
I can lift my arm about this high.
Okay.
I can go about this high when it comes to, so I'm lifting above my head, and to the side I can go pretty much around
Almost
to my
90 degrees.
shoulder. Yeah.
Okay.
And today the physical therapist, which I like to say PT stands for pain and torture, doing a series of Kimuras and arm bars to try and stretch out my whole arm and biceps and chest muscles and all that stuff, my pecs. So it's going. So it's gonna be a bit.
Sports injuries are something that we all deal with if we're all being active. But
yeah, absolutely, it is what it is. So
aside from the sports injuries updates, we got a cool little show for you guys. We are going to talk some baseball, hockey, basketball, football, gaming, even. But before we do, just go ahead and hit that share, subscribe button. Share this podcast with your best friends. Let everybody know what's the deal, what Gabe and Walt is up to. And let's get started with the show, man.
yeah, man.
Have you been able to watch any games lately since we last recorded?
I watched.
I don't watch anything. I listen to everything, but
I did watch game 2 of the Rangers game. I saw. I've been watching here and there, dropping into the basketball playoffs and stuff. That's really baseball. I've been keeping up, but haven't. It's been super busy for me this past week, and so.
Well, speaking of
I'm
baseball,
keeping up, but not.
Speaking of baseball,
Yep.
New York is still lonely at the top. Yankees and Mets are still at the very, very top. Yankees are still, I think a couple games up on the Mets as far as record goes. The Yankees are still the best team in the league.
First two teams to get 20, right?
Dang. Checking out the score right now. We were tied 3 with the Blue Jays. But it is now the top of the 9th, and the Blue Jays are up 5-3. That's upsetting.
It's okay. It's all good. Listen,
but regardless, the Yankees are 20-8. I believe the Mets are 20-10.
Yeah, like I said, they were the first 2 teams in Major League Baseball to get to 20. So, that's always exciting. It looks like we're looking at the 2 best teams in baseball right now, right?
I mean, again, like everything, this is all pointing to a phenomenal Subway Series, and I can't wait for that. But something interesting happened today in the game. I think it was in the 7th inning or maybe the 6th. I think the bottom of the 6th. Donaldson was up, and Garcia for the Blue Jays. No, it wasn't Garcia. It was Garcia, but it was after Kikuchi. Kikuchi was pitching a no-hitter, and then in the bottom of the 6th, it just kind of unraveled for him.
What's the guy's name?
And Kikuchi?
What was it again?
Kikuchi.
One more time.
Kikuchi. Very interesting name, I'll tell you that much. I think
Yes,
I
definitely.
think he's Japanese.
Is he?
Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's a Kukuchi, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I just, but he was pitching a no hitter, and
Ooh.
um, he caused a few runners to get on base, and he finally got pulled out, I think. And then Jimmy Garcia came out, and Giancarlo Stanton hit a 3-run homer to
Mm-hmm.
tie the game. And out of frustration, I guess, I don't know, but Donaldson is up and he hits him. He hits him, he beans him right in the shoulder. Well, right above the elbow. So like you have the elbow guard and it hit like his arm right above the guard itself. So it was up and in, just a couple inches away, and then it's the head. And the umpires met up and they threw him out instantly. No warning, no nothing, just throwing him out. And I think that this is caused because of the Mets situation. The Mets all season have been getting hit. They've been hit by more pitches than any other team. I think teams combined.
19
Um,
times so far.
and they they responded. I don't even think they hit. What was the game that it was a couple days ago? They didn't even hit the guy. It was just kind of like it just missed him, or did he hit him? I'm not sure. I don't know if he beamed him, but anyway, that caused a huge ruckus. Benches cleared and all that stuff. I believe, yeah, and there were you know there's a scuffle and all that stuff and everything going on. Managers and players getting thrown out, and it seems like the umpires are obviously trying to nip this in the butt, but they threw him out. They threw Jimmy Garcia out, and immediately, everything is kind of like getting superheated. Montoya, I believe, Montoya is out, and I think the umpires threw him out too instantly. It was just like it's kind of this crazy chaos. I think sports is in general kind of getting a little more than just heated lately, don't you think?
Well, it's funny you say that because right before this podcast, I was looking at some stuff that we can talk about, right? And one of the things that did come up was the fact that the Mets have been hit 19 times so far this season.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Pete Alonso is a guy that's been hit twice already, and in the head, no
Right.
less. And
Right.
and the second incident, there was a broken helmet. So imagine how that is, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of talk has been not about how aggressive the players are, but everybody in Major League Baseball, all the players are talking about the balls
I
because
am hearing that.
they're
I am hearing
saying.
that like they changed the balls.
Right, and they said it's like super smooth right now. And one particular thing of note is the fact that this year every single baseball team is required to put their balls and store them in a humidor. So
Mhm, mhm.
you're getting these balls that are, and the reason why they did that, the Rockies were the first to do that because they were so concerned that because of the thin air up in the Rockies, those
Mhm.
balls were flying out. So they used to put their balls in humidors to kind of like weigh them down with the humidity and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
And I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that
I think it
people are
has.
getting hit so much this year because you're looking at a smooth ball, which is now a heavy ball. Those things can easily get away from a
I
pitcher.
think
You know
it's
what
a
I mean?
lot less than. I think it's a lot. I don't think that that's what it is, because there was a lot of batters hit last year too. We just didn't see it like so frequent in the beginning of the season, and it also, I think that with the Mets, a lot of those hits looked intentional. They didn't look like they were just getting away from them. A
Hmm.
lot of those batters that were hit looked like it was intentional. I think that they were trying to send a message, and the Mets never really responded until they actually did, and then when they did, that's when like things are showing to be a little bit heated. I think that if anything, if it is a lack of control, I think it's due to the lack of any sticky substances allowed
That too.
anymore.
That too. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And I think that this is one way for pitchers to deflect from that. They don't want to say that, like, oh, they don't have the control, or maybe they want to use it as a reason why they need some sort of like sticky substance, because I think that like every single pitcher was using some sort of sticky substance in order to have control of the ball, because we are seeing a lot more wild pitches and like a lot less control. This is why you have pitchers that are only pitching 4 or 5 innings now, because it's a lot harder to pitch with control now when you don't have any substances that are going to help you, that are going to give you that control and ease up on the shoulder. Now that they have to throw harder to keep certain control and whatnot, these pitchers are getting out of the game super early, and we're having so many more bullpen games because of it. So
Yeah,
and so I feel like if it is a lack of control, I don't think that it's the balls. I think that it's the fact that they don't have uh, the spider tack or other substances that they're used to.
well, I do find it interesting that within the last 3 years, the 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 percentage of hit by pitch has been at near record levels. Like 2020 was almost it was near the top. 2021 and 2022 has kind of sustained that. So people are getting hit a lot more nowadays. That's just the way it
So
is.
so so it kind of actually confirms it or reaffirms it, or affirms it. I don't know what word you want to use, but if it kind of like peaked in the middle of the last season, which is when they banned the spider tack, and then now it's leveled out, then it kind of shows like, okay, maybe this is because of that, because of the
Well,
lack of
I
control.
think it could be a combination of things also because if you look around the league, home runs are down, batting average is really really bad,
Hmm.
across the league, so it could be a combination of factors here that really are going. And like you said, it could just be a lack of decorum on the part of the players, that
I
it's like,
think it's
what. But
yeah, I think that, like, all
that's
that
part of the
stuff. It's
game
funny
though,
because
right?
that's kind of like it's and I don't want to spend too much time on this with baseball, but it is kind of like a funny thing that's happening. I feel like over the last couple of years, where like the game is evolving, where we're not used to seeing pitchers, and this could be to the lack of or the diminished presence of steroids in the league, which is a good thing. And things like not having spider attack or certain assists and stuff like that. We were used to seeing pitchers go, 7, 8 innings and not have a closer come out until the eighth or ninth inning even,
Right.
and throwing pitches at like 120, 130 pitches per game. Um, but the games themselves were much higher scoring, I think, back then too. I think that now what's happening, the meta of baseball, which the meta, for those of you guys that may not understand, meta is whatever is happening right now, like everything put together, or rather the what is the game consisted of right now. And right now it's consisted of much higher level pitching, and because of that, they are and then the pitching changes, protecting those high level pitchers. So I think that, like, because the pitching has like really leveled up, the run numbers are much lower, because they're just not, it doesn't matter like what it is. If you're not connecting with the ball, you're not connecting with the ball. You know, there's a lot less home runs, but there's a lot less people even connecting with the ball in general. And like, we're seeing like, I feel like I'm hearing about like potential no hitters on a weekly basis now. We the Nestor Cortez had a no hitter going, and tonight the Jays had a no hitter going too.
Hmm.
And it's just like where it was such a rare thing before. Now we're seeing no hitters on I don't want to say regular basis, but at least once or twice a season, when it used to be something that like just didn't really happen.
Well, I think also a part of it is that pitching always is ahead of hitting, right? It takes hitters a bit to get into their stride before, when the season starts. But I think also, the game has changed because
Yeah.
it's become a lot more specialized now, right? So now
Right, and
now
that's what I'm
now
saying.
before
Yeah.
before, like you said, the guys like Nolan Ryans, they would throw 150 pitches and pitch the full 9 innings. Now, you do 150 pitches per game. And I still remember Johan Santana from the Mets, right? He had that one game where he went like 150 pitches to try and complete a perfect game or a no hitter. He was never the same after that, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
So, and he played for the Mets, so that's why I remember him vividly. But the game has kind of changed because you know what, these teams now, they're putting in a lot of investment in these pitches, their dollars, and so what do? You want to make sure that you protect your investment. Plus, you also have all these relievers who are very, very good. And so now you can kind of pick and choose, like, you'll take the guy out in the
yeah,
sixth inning.
yeah. I mean,
You got a
like
left-hander
The
coming
Yankee
up.
bullpen, the Yankee bullpen is insane right now. I feel like
Exactly.
any single like
So,
we don't have a number one and number two starter. I mean, we have a number one, that's Garrett Cole, but we don't. And Nestor Cortez will be basically our number two ace. But it's even hard to say that he's the number two when we have like such a good starting lineup, or starting pitching. And same thing with the bullpen. Of course, Chapman is our closer, but I think that like I mean, yes, I know like Chapman can be a little bit like, like
he
playing
is.
Russian roulette, but he's still our closer.
You know what he reminds
Um,
me of? He reminds me of John Wetland when we were winning championships back then, before Mariano Rivera.
mhm,
He's the
mhm.
kind of guy that would come in with bases clear in the ninth inning, and the Yankees winning by 2 runs. He would load the bases, give up a run, get the save, but at the same time, Yankee fans were jumping off the buildings at the time. Chapman does the same thing. He gets
Yeah.
himself into trouble.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I stopped listening to the game to get ready for the cast. I wouldn't be surprised if he came in on the eighth and he's the reason why the Jays are winning. So that's
Yeah,
for sure.
it's true.
But
So
that being said, we still have, I think, arguably the best pitching staff in the game right now. Top to bottom, I think that we have the best pitchers in the game, especially because you don't have oh my god, why am I blanking? That's what happens when you work all day and then you get on the mic, you forget who the actual supposed number one pitcher in the league is. Um,
back Max Scherzer.
no, that's, I mean, active. We're talking
Oh,
about on
not.
the injured list.
Oh,
Degrom.
okay. Yeah,
If
yeah, yeah,
Degrom
yeah.
comes back and Degrom pitches like Degrom, then yeah, Degrom is probably the best pitcher in the league. I don't know if that's ever actually even going to happen. It seems like it's going to be a pipe dream now. So, but that's where we are with the Yankees and the Mets. We're at the very, very top. We have another New York team that seemed like they were in the top and right now have quickly tumbled down, down, down. The Rangers, man.
The
What
Rangers.
happened? What
You
the
know,
hell happened with the Rangers?
I think and so I had watched part of game one, and I watched almost the entirety of game two. And game two was the one where they went triple overtime and stuff. And one thing that I noticed, especially in that overtime session, those 3 overtime sessions,
Mm-hmm.
that was really, really frustrating for me as a Ranger fan, is all the missed opportunities that they had, because they were clearly outplaying the Penguins in those overtime sessions, but nothing. And that was the game where they lost. The Pittsburgh Penguins lost their second goalie, and they had to go to their third string guy. And that third string guy ended up stopping almost thirty saves in that overtime period, which shows that the Rangers were shooting, but they weren't getting good chances and stuff.
Right, right.
And that was a game that, as the game went along deeper and deeper, I felt that opportunity for the Rangers was slipping away. And I had the sense, and I don't know why, but I had the sense that for some reason that was a turning point in the series, because the Rangers had started to look very, very tired in that game. And I don't know if that has kind of filtered over into the next couple of games that they've played, because right after that, they got blown out twice. Igor Shesterkin, who's a nominee for the Vesna final. He's a Vesna finalist,
Well,
right?
I mean, I
He
think he's very, very
he
most
got pulled
likely going
he
to
got
win
pulled
it. But
twice for the first
yeah,
time, back to
yeah,
back games
yeah,
in his career. He got pulled twice in the third periods.
I think that first game really kind of did him. He hasn't recovered from that first game.
Yeah, I
Clearly,
think that's what it is. And
it
you know
might be a
what?
physical thing, it might be a mental thing. I don't know, but yeah, he just hasn't recovered.
And I
Um,
also think that the Rangers being so young and the Pittsburgh Penguins being so experienced, right? Because
mhm.
you look at the difference between the two teams, and the Rangers are pretty much a very young team. What we're getting now is something that we thought we were going to get a couple of years from now. So we're getting it a little bit early. Pittsburgh, they still have remnants of their championship teams on that team. They have Max Crosby. They have some really really good players on that team, and the
Mhm.
experience is probably driving them forward in this series. I do fully expect that the Rangers are going to come back, hopefully Wednesday in MSG. But
Yeah, I think that yeah, they're
I don't think this goes to a game seven, unfortunately, and that is disappointing,
I
especially
was gonna say the same
after.
thing. I think that tomorrow, I think that Wednesday when this airs, I believe,
Mhm.
um, I think that they're gonna come in and they're I think they're gonna win the game tomorrow. I don't think that the series ends tomorrow in MSG, but I don't think that it goes to game seven.
Yeah, I don't. I
Unfortunately, yeah.
just and it's disappointing because we came into this postseason with a lot of promise. The Rangers were hitting on
I mean, they were
all
favorites. They were favorites to
cylinders.
win the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. And to have this happen in the fashion that it's happening, it's not that they're losing games; they're getting blown
They're
out.
getting blown out, dude.
He's given up
I didn't even
14
think you could
goals.
score that many goals in hockey, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
14 goals in Pittsburgh. That's something that is
Yeah,
unheard of.
yeah,
Igor
yeah.
Shesterkin led the league in save percentage. You know,
Yeah. And I
and
mean, again,
he
like
just
the amount of saves that he hit on that first game, though, was a legendary performance. Even though the Rangers lost that game,
between the
I
first two games, he stopped 100 shots.
that's
Think
so
about that.
crazy.
I
That's
think
so
in the
crazy.
second game he stopped 70 shots
Yeah,
alone. That is
yeah,
that
but
is
this also does go. We can't put it all on the goalie because there are no shots on the goalie if the rest of the team is doing a better job defensively, and I think that just
and
the
they're
Rangers
not.
are not showing up.
And going back to that second game, the goal that won the game was clearly a defensive breakdown on the Rangers, because it was a goal right in front of the goalkeeper, the goaltender, and you had two defensemen there that was not blocking out the opposing player.
Right,
And that to me was like, oh, this is going to be bad. So here we are.
right, yeah.
It is what it is.
Oh, man, it sucks, man. I was really looking forward to becoming a real hockey fan this year.
Well, still, I mean, listen, there are some great teams out there. There's some great, and I'm telling you, playoff hockey is like nothing else. It really, really is, and
No,
it's
I
even
know, I
better.
know,
It's
for
even
sure.
better live. But just watching on TV, there's so much excitement. So hockey doesn't get enough credit for the excitement that you get from
That it
watching
generates,
the
yeah,
game.
especially when it's going on at the same time as the NBA playoffs too.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It really is,
Like
and
the NBA, I think I think so in so here in the states, I think it's NFL first. Okay,
yes,
uh, I think it is NBA second as far as popularity goes.
I can agree with that.
And I think baseball has like such a long season and such a strong presence with the fact that there's literally baseball every single day. But I don't think that translates to actual popularity. So I would give, even though I want to give baseball the second place, I don't think that it is. I think it's in third place, and then you have soccer and hockey around the same, hovering the same. I think soccer might actually be. No, there's no way, because there's no way.
Well,
Hockey is still more popular here than soccer.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I think baseball has suffered in recent years because of their missteps, you know, in terms of
Yeah, yeah.
what's
hmm
going on with them. So, I,
But with
I
basketball,
definitely
though,
agree that
but with
NFL is
basketball, we
fine.
got a couple things happening around the league. There's some stuff that you wanted to talk about with Chris Paul and the incident with a fan. But before we get into that, real quick, Ja Morant out for the rest of the playoffs. I mean, we've had like a couple kind of serious situations. Joel Embiid, he has a broken orbital, but he's playing through it.
The kids
I mean,
from
he had like a broken
the
thumb too,
Raptors
didn't
is
he?
out also, right? The kid for the Raptors, what's his name? Jesus Christ. The point guard. Oh, why am I blanking?
Because it's late at night, and we this is what happens to adults with responsibilities.
Yes, I am exactly. Um, oh Jesus Christ, I have if I don't find this out, I'm going to be extremely pissed off.
Well, look it up real quick, but
Yes,
so the thing that I want to bring up with this is that like there's a lot of kind of some serious injuries that have been happening, and it's funny because you hear online everybody chirping about like, oh, the refs aren't letting the play, league is soft, this, that, and the other. And I agree with that sometimes. I think some of the calls are just like really, really bad calls. I think that like they're kind of babying, coddling these the players a lot. Um, but I do think that the players, when they're intentionally giving certain fouls, they're doing it kind of dangerously. Like it's these hard elbows, not
yeah,
realizing where it's going, flipping people when they're going for like dunks and stuff. I mean, was he? We're talking about the kid that he broke his elbow when
yes,
he landed.
yeah.
I mean, that was like a really unnecessary foul. Like I had
Well,
like
you know what it is. It's one of these fouls that if you land it, it's a block. If you don't, it's a flagrant two. And really, what the league
I don't know,
wants.
man. I saw it, and he like threw his body
Oh,
into his
but
body.
no, he's swiping like
Oh, the
this.
one behind. Oh no, but yeah,
Yeah,
if he
you
yeah,
know.
but of course. I mean, the thing is, he clipped him in the head.
I know that's what I'm saying, and I think what really needs to happen here is the league needs to ban that move because clearly, this is not the first time that a player's been
Yeah,
injured
yeah,
using that
yeah. You can't
motion.
do it like it. I mean, it's tough. I think that like you can't swipe from behind. I think that that's kind of what's happening
Yeah, he
because
was basically clubbing the
whoever,
guy.
yeah, the attacker is he's attacking the basket. He can't see what's going on behind him. He should not be. He should not have to. You know, it's just like what is he supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you hit the block, you're on Sports Center. But if you don't, the guy goes down. And so
Yeah.
to me, there's no risk reward here. You just need to ban
Now
the move.
here's the thing: like they
You
suspended
know?
him for one game because of the flagrant two, right? But the kid is out for the rest of the playoffs, basically. I think eye for an eye. Like I think suspend them for the rest of the playoffs too. If you take a player out, then you should be out too.
Yeah,
When it's a flagrant, like obviously if it's an accidental thing, that's an accidental thing. And even though this was an accidental foul, really, I don't think that his intention was to like hurt him.
no, of course not.
He did apply the foul without regard either, without like regard for the player safety.
Hmm.
And you got to play with safety, and this kind of goes back to, I wanted to mention this with the whole like hitting batters in baseball. I think that when it comes to, there should be a zero tolerance policy. I think in baseball, the way that you solve, because you can't read intent, with a pitch. I can throw the pitch and act like it was unintentional and really intent to hit you in the head. I think that like if you hit a pitcher, you're just out. Just take them out.
Yeah,
Or at the very least, if the pitch is from the elbow up, where there's a higher chance of the batter getting hit in the head or whatever, there's no way to read intention, but just kick them out. And I think that that's what they should do in these situations too.
well,
Like because I think a one game suspension just isn't enough.
see, I kind of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a part of me that says maybe you don't do that in baseball because, um, you know, it- part of the game that has kind of gone away in terms of baseball is the fact that the pitcher has the ability to pitch hard inside, right?
Right.
That's something that's always been a thing from way back when. That's baseball in memoriam, right?
Hmm.
And we've gotten away from that, and it's become now the batter is the owner of the plate as opposed to the pitcher. So and you see the batter crowding the plate and stuff like that. The pitcher should have the right to move the guy off the plate.
And
And
like
so sometimes in trying to do that, it gets away from me. It's not intent, but at the same time, he's working the plate. He's working the strike zone,
And
and so
I understand that. I
that's why
understand
I'm a
that. I'm not
little.
saying anything like against that. You know what I mean? But like if the ball, if you don't have the control, if you don't have the control to not aim for the elbow and up, you know, I think that that's where, you know, like there should be a zero tolerance.
See
Personally, I
that?
think there should be a zero tolerance there.
Uh,
You know, because the thing is, you're gonna end up having like these situations like the Mets and the Braves, or the Mets and everyone, where it's like, all right, like, you know, like, well, if they hit us, we're going to hit them back. And then it turns into this whole ordeal. And then they're getting kicked out anyway.
yeah, that's baseball, though, right?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it's baseball. I just
I mean, it
I
is part
have
of the drama, too.
Yeah, I have a little tougher time with that as opposed to the basketball stuff. The basketball stuff, I think, you know what, you're absolutely right. You know, there are certain moves that put players at a disadvantage and stuff, and so that's a little bit different. There's no reason for you to be clubbing a guy from behind,
Yeah,
to try and
there's no reason for you to like kind of like the guy's elevated trying to go for a layup or a dunk, and
and
you
then you
kind of
flip
throw
him
your body
over.
under their legs where they end
Yeah,
up flipping. You know, they're falling on hardwood floor and they have no physical protection. It's not like in football where you got pads and stuff. You get like basically suplexed or dropped or somersaulted. You know, you're landing on, you know, still hard, but you're landing with pads. In basketball, it's a hardwood floor with no protection on you. You
hey,
know,
those
even
guys,
the slightest little hit sucks.
those guys in the '90s did it.
Yeah, well, those guys in the '90s
That,
also fought a lot on the hardwood too.
I know it's true.
So
And that's the one thing that you're not seeing in basketball nowadays. Basketball has really become a finesse game. It's a lot of threes. It's a lot of isos. You don't see,
it's a lot of offense. It
yeah,
is really a lot of
you don't
offense.
see that
Yeah,
defense. That's why watching the Celtics and the Bucks is kind of refreshing because it feels like that series is a throwback to Knicks Heat, Knicks
yeah,
Bulls back in the
yeah,
'90s and
yeah.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it
There's
is what it
something
is.
else happening in basketball that's been happening for a couple years now, and that's that's the fans, man. The fans, I mean, I'm all for fans getting involved in the game, but they're getting so nasty. And I've spoken about this before, that I think that like it's a really the wrong direction for sports to be going in, where, you know, it's become acceptable for people to like, for fans to berate players even from opposing teams.
I
And
think
I don't necessarily agree with a certain level of beratement. I think booing, I think saying like, you know, you suck and things like that. That's one thing. Cursing out the players, you know, being really really derogatory, and then to the level of what happened over the weekend, with Chris Paul and his family. I believe it was his wife and kid and his mother-in-law or mother.
yeah,
Was it mother-in-law or mother?
I think it was his mom.
Yeah,
Uh,
so his mom is there, and like the fans are not only berating Chris Paul and the family, but they're like putting their hands on his family.
yeah.
That's
Uh,
insane to me.
well, you know what? I think it's more of it, it feels like this is not just a NBA thing. This is more of a societal thing. You know,
I agree with that too.
I
I do
think
agree with that too.
especially in recent years, this type of behavior has become permissible, especially here in the States, and I think it's bleeding into our sports. And listen, not for nothing, I'm gonna be, I can relate to this because I love going to sporting events, but I haven't been to sporting events in a while, and I haven't taken my kids to them because I don't want to be sitting there in the stands listening to Joe Schmo over here who's drunk by the third inning screaming, obscenities and all this other stuff when my young kids are there trying
Yeah,
to enjoy the game. So this is not anything new, right? We've
yeah,
always had the drunk guys at the stadium who believe that just because they bought a ticket, they have the right to do anything, right?
Right.
But I think what's happening now is that there is now a level of permissibility that's going on. You had the lady that ran onto the court and tried to glue herself to the floor, right?
Well,
You
that was a
had
whole like protesting thing. Did you know the story behind that? Because it happened like they there was three attempts. There was one that actually happened, and then
hmm
two that were thwarted. That was, I believe, uh, activist against, chicken slaughtering.
yeah, I know, but it's
It is.
sometimes
It
it's
is. Yeah.
ridiculous. And you had the thing that happened in the UFC just this past weekend, where and this again, this is
Wait, what happened in UFC? I don't know what happened. I didn't. I
oh,
didn't.
you didn't hear about that?
I fell
And
asleep.
it's not a big thing, but you had a fan who, just because she wanted to be on TikTok, she jumped out of the stands and tried to run into the octagon. Now
Jesus.
she got as far as the platform before the security guard grabbed her and knocked her ass back into the stands. You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying?
but to
But
be, but
but
this isn't
but
this does
but this
happen though.
yeah,
That kind of
I
stuff does
know,
happen. It happens in soccer most.
but it's
But you
ridiculous.
remember the parachute guy and the Tyson, was it Tyson? It was Tyson and what was the fight? It was Mike
Was it
Tyson.
Tyson and Buster Douglas?
No,
It
no, no, no,
wasn't
no,
that one,
no, no, no,
because
no,
that one nobody saw. So
no, no, no. It was
that fight nobody saw. That wasn't even
damn. This is
televised.
like back when like they would have fights in open air arenas
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and like somebody like in a parachute parachuted into the ring, and like all hell broke loose. I forgot.
Well,
Like,
you had the kissing bandit that was she was famous for like how many years, right? Where she would just run up into the
right, right.
baseball stands and try and kiss
Yeah,
the
so
players,
so
right?
so this
So
crazy fan stuff does happen,
it does
but
happen.
this is a little bit different. What's going
No,
on
no,
right
no, no.
now?
And I agree. But what I'm saying is that, social media again is playing a part in here because,
Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
before it used to be one or two people. Now it's, I want to be insta famous. Let me capture this on
Well, that's the
TikTok
thing.
and
The
stuff.
reason
You
people
know
used
what
to
I'm
do it
saying?
is because 15 minutes of fame lasted just a television news cycle. That was your
Well,
15 minutes.
and they
Now with
stopped that,
Instagram,
but
huh?
they stopped that because now people run onto the field and the camera purposely moves away, right? Not to give
Right,
them
but
the
the thing is, yeah, but the thing is, the news
now
still
you
becomes story on social media, and they
and
become a meme, and they
exactly,
become like all this.
exactly. But
It's crazy what happens.
I think the other stuff is you're seeing a ramping up of bad behavior, and it's okay to do. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And
I think there's got to be.
The NBA in particular has a really they have a lot of decisions to make because they're the only one out of the major sports where the fans are literally right on the court. There
Yeah,
is
that's
no
true. Yeah.
barrier at all. I mean, you can say there's been cases where the hockey players have climbed the plexiglass to get at you know uh you know other
It's
the
gonna get
fans,
ugly. I mean, but
but
you remember the infamous like brawl in Indiana with the Pistons and everything, right?
yeah, 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 with meta world be
I
free,
forgot his.
right?
I actually that wasn't his name then. I forgot
His
what his
name
actual name was.
was
Wasn't it Ron Artest?
yes, Ron
Yeah,
Artest.
yeah.
Yeah,
So like, and that was a huge brawl that happened in the stands. Or was it? Yeah, it was the Pistons, right? The Detroit Pistons and the
hmm
Pacers. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
was
gonna
in
get to that
Auburn.
level,
It
but
was in
I think
Auburn
that like,
Valley.
yeah, I think there's got to be like, and this is the thing, right? Because it turns into a whole like, free speech kind of thing too. So it's like if you tell security, all right, you got to start taking people out if they're being
But
derogatory and
that's
stuff
not
like
free
that.
speech, though.
I understand, but that's the issue that's gonna arise. People will be like, oh, I can say whatever I want. I pay for my ticket and this, that, and third,
No,
and
you can't. And that's part. And I'm not going to get into politics on
yeah,
here,
yeah,
but people have corrupted what free speech and the First Amendment is. You know, free
yeah,
speech and the First Amendment is not you can say whatever the heck you want. That First Amendment specifically says government does not have the right to pass laws to stop your free speech. It
right.
doesn't mean you have the right to go wherever the hell you
Yeah, I
want,
mean, it definitely doesn't
say
mean
whatever you want, and it doesn't mean that public companies can't, private companies. if they stop you from doing that, they're infringing on your free speech, because you know what? They can do whatever they want. They are a private company. And so
Yeah, I
people
mean,
have to
if you're
watch
not following
that.
the rules, you should be able to get taken out and stuff. They're going to say all this
Absolutely.
stuff, whatever. I think that there needs to be more security where, like, again, zero tolerance. You want to be a jerk, you're out of this place. Okay. Because it's incumbent on the team owners, the stadium staff, and everything for everyone that goes there to enjoy their time there, whether they're there for that team or they're a visiting team. It's just, it has become a thing where, like, even fans of their own teams don't take kids to their own, again, to like the own stadium or
Hmm.
court or whatever it is, just because they know what they're going to expect to hear from the fans and they don't want to expose their children to that. That's such a terrible thing. Like, I'm not going to take my kid because I don't want to expose them. That's terrible.
Well, the two fans were drunk, highly, or to quote the statement, highly inebriated. You know,
Right. They should
um,
still be banned. I mean, I'm sure that they are going to be banned for life, but I think that they should face some charges.
well, they are banned for the remainder of the postseason. They will be back for home games in 2024.
Really?
Hmm.
That's
So,
unbelievable. So
that's
what's gonna happen when CP3 plays there again? They're
well,
gonna be allowed to be there again? That's crazy.
I guess so. But apparently, what they're now saying is that they were trying to give the family unwanted hugs.
That, you mean assault? Literally sexual
Unwa-
assault?
yeah,
It
unwanted
sounds like
hugs.
sexual groping. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what we're talking about here?
That's exactly what it is.
God.
They were trying to wish the family happy Mother's Day. Let me
Oh my
grab you and
God.
stuff. I mean,
Please.
regardless of
Please
what
don't
it
make me
is,
laugh.
you don't have the right to put hands on anyone. Period.
No, not at all.
And if they say
Ever.
no,
Ever.
you back off, and that's the whole thing. But again, it goes back to the whole thing where you have fans who believe they can do whatever they want because they bought a ticket,
Yeah.
and it's just bad. It
There's
really
a
is.
couple more things that I want to talk about. Just two more things, really. But the biggest thing to come out is Tom Brady's retiring again.
Mm,
Look, it came out that Tom Brady
I told you.
he already
I
has a
told
deal. He
you,
already has a deal set up with Fox. That deal would not be
but it
set up if
doesn't.
it's not
But it
what.
doesn't specify when. It just
I
says when
know it
he
doesn't specify
retires.
when, but this news wouldn't come out. This
I
news wouldn't
told
come out
you.
now.
I
This
told you guys
news,
he wasn't going to retire. I
I
did
didn't
tell you
think that he
that.
was either. Jose was the one that was really into it.
Well,
But
that's
look,
true. Yeah, that's true.
look, I do not think that they would have released this information if Tom Brady's still playing a couple more seasons.
But I think he is going to play. Well, okay. I'm going to
I
paint you.
think that he's going to be done after this season.
I don't think so. I think if he plays and he makes the Super Bowl, then it's a very distinct possibility he walks away. I think if they miss, he probably comes back for one more season and then moves into the Fox booth. That's my personal opinion about it.
Actually, I think that if they miss the Super Bowl, that he doesn't. That's when he doesn't come back. That's when he realizes, all right, like the game is passing me by. Okay, if he makes it to
So
the
if
Super
he
Bowl,
has
because I
a
think that, like, the reason that he stayed is because he was so close to the Super Bowl. So if he
right,
makes it there and doesn't win, then he's gonna be like, "Damn, I was right there. You know what? Let me give it one more year."
but what happens if he has a great MVP type season like he did last year? You think
Yeah,
he's going to walk away from that, knowing that he's still
I
playing
think that
at a high level?
he made the decision already, which is why there's no reason to release that information now. And then it just doesn't make any sense. Release that information now, and he retweeted it and all that stuff or whatever it is, and he says, "Can't wait to be part of this." But I got unfinished business. I understand that.
That's right.
Okay, well, guess what? That business is probably going to be finished this season. He's signaling that, I think.
I don't know. I think this is a way to get Fox Sports in the conversation. I think that's what it is. I think
Maybe.
what you're doing is you're announcing something that's going to happen eventually. It's not going to happen this year, that's for sure. It may happen next year. It may not. I really, really do think that this is the way it is. This is not the first time that has happened. Drew Brees did the same thing. Drew Brees announced that he was going to be working for NBC Sports. He played another couple of seasons, so it's not unheard of that this type of thing
I
happens.
guess I don't know, man. I
It's
feel because the
just,
thing is, it just feels like there's a decent amount of finality to everything. I mean, aside from the fact that he did, even though he walked back to retirement, I think that like even though okay, so this is the way that I see how I feel like this everything played out. He didn't want to retire, but he was kind of forced into the retirement somehow, and he just agreed to it. His mind was the only thing that'll make him formally retire because he did formally retire. Okay, he did
yeah,
formally retire. He did formally retire. Can we
but
agree on that?
they never put the paperwork through.
I understand that, but he did
That's
formally
not.
announce his retirement and everything.
Did he really though?
Yes, officially versus formally are two different things. You know, unformally is me saying not saying anything. Me, you ask me when am I going to play, and I say I don't know, but then I just don't play. That's unofficially retired or not formally, but formally retired is me telling you, yeah, my intention is to. That's my last season, even though I haven't signed the paperwork. So what that tells me is that at least a part of him, maybe not even 50% of him, but a part of him already accepted retirement. I think he's 1 foot out the door already. And he
I,
decided, you know what? Let me give it one more shot.
I'm gonna get conspiratorial here, and you know that's not usually me, but I think a lot of it was a power play there, because I do find it interesting that he says he's going to retire, then all of a sudden they fire the head coach, or the head coach leaves the position to give it to
Mm-hmm.
Todd Bowles, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden Tom Brady comes back. I wonder if there wasn't something there with Bruce Arians and Tom Brady that just didn't sit well with the two of them, and Brady was using a power play to kind of get the
Mm-hmm.
coach out of there and get Todd
Yeah,
Bowles.
but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe,
I
maybe
just,
not. I'm not sure. You know, the
I,
thing is that I have like maybe. I mean, yeah, I can see it. I can see it play that way. I just
mhm.
you know, what if they had won the Super Bowl? He would have just what was he gonna do? He's gonna like he gave credit to Bruce Arians for what they did. You know, really the only reason they weren't in the Super Bowl is because of exterior factors. That's it.
If he had won the Super Bowl, I think we're having a different conversation here. I think if he had won the Super Bowl, that would have been
Yeah,
his
that's why I
official
don't
final
think that it was a
contract.
power play with Bruce
Uh,
Arians. I don't think that there was any severe issues with him because he did good work with him.
it just is, it's too convenient the way everything played out here,
As
But
just as convenient as convenient as already having your contract signed for what you're gonna do for after you retire. That's
is
pretty
it?
convenient.
I don't know. I don't know.
The last
Well,
thing,
anyway,
there's just one more thing that I find kind of interesting, and it's not too often that we get a chance to talk about. Well, our podcast is still quite young, so I can't even say that it's not too often. But we don't really talk video games here, and right now we're going to talk video games.
are we?
FIFA,
What?
you're the one that broke the news to me that
Yes,
FIFA is ending their relationship with EA Sports.
nearly 30 years of a partnership gone down the
This
drain
is
because of
this is so this is
contract
so huge.
negotiations. So
I don't think people realize how huge this actually is.
yeah, I mean, they announced it this past Tuesday today. Um, they are rebranding, so it's no longer FIFA. It's going to be EA Sports FC Football Club.
Hmm.
That's going to be
Hmm.
launching in July of 2023. And if you want to hear the press release, this is from Cam Weber, the executive vice president. EA Sports FC will allow us to realize this future and much more, but not before we deliver our most expansive game ever. Blah blah blah. We are committed to ensuring the next FIFA. Ironic that they use the word FIFA there,
Hmm.
as our best ever. Um, and the reason why this is happening, um and this is coming from a reporter in New York Times. I'm going to give him credit. Tariq Pajana, right?
Yeah.
um FIFA wanted to double their 150 million annual payment that it gets from EA Sports. I can't blame EA Sports for walking away from that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's one thing to say, you know what, let me get 10%, let me get another, to double it from
Well,
$150 to $300 million. That
Well,
is,
all right, all right.
they're making
Well,
a lot
all right,
of money.
but hold on. Let's do something real quick. Let's do the math. So, how much are they making per year?
That is a good
100.
question.
You said no, but you said 150 million.
That's what EA
Their
Sports
contract, yeah.
pays one FIFA.
Okay, times 20 years. Okay, that's
Hmm.
$3 billion.
Hmm.
EA Sports made 20 billion in that same time frame off of the FIFA name. I don't think that it's that far off to ask for a little bit more. I mean, they're essentially asking for 6 billion out of the 20 billion that they're producing.
No, no, but they're already getting 150. They want
That's what I'm
300.
saying. So like it's doubling. So that's what I'm saying. Over the past 20 years, they've made $3 billion off of this deal. They're looking for $6 billion now.
But let
Uh,
me ask you this question:
mhm.
Who do you think comes out better in terms of uh, the relationship that they had? Was it EA Sports or was it FIFA? Because I think EA Sports opened up FIFA to a lot of people who never thought about soccer before, right?
Right, that's absolutely true. But
So,
here's the thing, like, the people that when you play a sports game, let me ask you, do you remember the 2K sports games after EA got these exclusive rights to basketball and football and everything?
mhm.
2K Sports basically went down the drain. Nobody wants to play them for the likenesses. They want to play the official sports teams.
Well, just because they've lost the license to FIFA, they still have
They still
licensing
have the
with
yeah, they have the licenses
the
to the
Premier
to yeah,
League, La
yeah,
Liga,
they had,
the
yep.
Champions League. So
But it
they're
just
still gonna have it.
but to the majority of people that buy into these things, if you're gonna choose one out of two games, because it's gonna be, FIFA's still gonna continue just with another publisher or another studio, whatever. Maybe they start their own video game studio. Okay. Uh the majority of people, if it's EA, you know, FC or FIFA 2023, which one do you think people are going to buy just off of the cover?
I guess because I'm different and I don't follow soccer that much. To me,
I
to
think
me,
it's not even soccer.
it's
I think it's just a user, it's a consumer thing.
but let me ask you this then: if FIFA comes out, but it's not as polished a product as EA Sports FC, does it even make a difference?
Well, that's obviously on FIFA. That remains to be seen. But
Right.
here's the thing, right? So like if FIFA does their job and they take away, let's say, 50% of the market share from EA, then that's EA's, money that they would be paying FIFA anyway if they had kept the partnership alive. Right? We're talking about in the last 20 years, they made $20 billion off of FIFA alone, okay, while paying FIFA $3 billion. They're asking for double that. They're asking for $6 billion, which is it's a little more than 25% for basically FIFA's name and popularity. I don't think that that's too much to ask. Like, hey, like you can use my name and all of our teams and this, that, and the third, which is what people are fans of, and all we want is 25% of the share.
Hmm.
I don't think that is that bad of a deal.
I don't know. The FIFA franchise has generated $20 billion in sales over the past 2 decades.
Exactly.
You
That's why I
know.
did. That's why I did that calculation, because it means that, like, if they were getting paid 150 million a year, they made $3 billion in that same time frame.
Hmm.
I think that, like, I think that EA is, because EA is definitely going to lose, market share when FIFA comes out with their games, right? I mean, that's pretty
There's
much.
the FIFA has already said in a statement that they did grant EA a 1 year extension to do
Hmm.
the FIFA
Yeah, yeah,
23 game.
hmm,
It's looking to develop new games with third party studios and publishers, and they are in talks for a major new FIFA game in 2024. So they're not
exactly.
waiting
So
around, you
yeah,
know.
they're not waiting around. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I know for a fact that let's say if we're conservative, 35% of the market share goes to FIFA now. Okay. EA is losing the money they would have paid FIFA anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think it makes business sense, especially when EA, like as far as the EA sports games go, FIFA is really the only moneymaker that they have. Like, you know, like Madden obviously is always going to do well, but it's not doing as it's not like in its heyday. Same thing with basketball and and baseball, everything. I don't see the sports genres, you know, on the upswing. You know, pun intended. But
Well,
FIFA was always the mainstay that was just huge because FIFA is the most popular sport in the entire world.
but
And
there's also, like I said, like I had said before, I think the FIFA actually benefited from being attached to EA Sports. You know, especially in the states, and that has been confirmed by Major League
mhm,
Soccer because they said a reason why they have so many MLS fans,
mhm, mhm.
65% of them, and this was done through surveys, 65% of them became fans because of the EA Sports game.
Absolutely, no
So
question about
you
it.
know, I think, in terms of what's going on here, I think the fact that EA Sports, the brand that everybody recognizes when it comes to football and basketball, though basketball you have to wonder sometimes. On football, they haven't had a good product in a couple of years now with the,
Hmm.
the Madden series. But whenever you think of EA Sports, you think of sports in general. I mean, what's the famous tagline? If it's in, EA Sports, it's
It's in
in
the
the
game.
game, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it becomes synonymous with sports in general. And when you add FIFA to that, people are now looking at it and say, well, if EA Sports is doing it and it's a FIFA game, we need to check it out. And so I think it drove the popularity here in the States. I don't think, you know, soccer would be as popular in the States
Yeah,
without
but
an EA Sports game. So, hey, listen,
so yeah, I
it
mean
remains.
that's what I'm saying. So okay, so here in the states, I think everybody buys EAFC, but then in the rest
Mhm.
of the world, everybody else is going to buy FIFA.
Yeah. So, it's it's $300 million annually, you know, is what they wanted from EA, for the naming rights, for the user branding competitions, World Cup, and all that stuff. And EA was like, nah, not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, so when you play the EAFC and you're playing for the like, or do you basically never play for the World Cup? Then
Yeah, basically. You
that's
know,
like that's
you're
terrible.
you're you're playing those individual leagues, in Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you wanted to like play the World Cup, I mean, it just like, right there, just that alone. Imagine if I say
I
like, "Hey,
wonder,
I want you to play the football. I want you to buy this football game. You're gonna play all the teams, all the likenesses, and everything, but you'll never get a chance to play the Super Bowl in the game."
but hold on,
No, just answer that
because
real quick. Like, would you
no,
be
no,
in?
no.
Would you be?
Well, you
Would
know
that be
what?
something that you'd be into?
I'll be honest. When 2K Sports lost the license
Yeah,
to
and
football,
if yeah,
I still bought 2K Sports games because they were far superior than
they
EA.
were. They definitely were. You know,
Right?
for those of you,
So
for the people that like, you know, oh wait, I wonder if FIFA's gonna go to 2K then.
it's quite possible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that, but like
so
I think that the not everybody is a technically savvy kind of person, you know what I
I'm
mean?
gonna I'm gonna plead ignorance here. Is Major League Soccer affiliated with FIFA? Because if
No.
it's not, EA Sports Football Club can bring those guys in. And if that's the case, then especially in the States, nothing happens, right? Because in the States,
Yeah, I guess.
it's all about Major League Soccer. So I don't think it's going to have as great an impact here in the States if you can still play as DC United, or if you can play as the New York Red Bulls or the New York Sports Football Club. those are
Hmm.
teams that you're still going to be able to play, and those are the teams that really, as a person living in the United States, you are more familiar with than some of the other teams and things that are out there,
Yeah.
right? So,
Well, MLS is a part of FIFA.
oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there goes that.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, the
Yeah, it's
that's pretty much
considered a
done.
part of FIFA, but it has like there's like a third party, I guess. Conference that relegates MLS, but that conference is part of FIFA.
Hmm. So that's the thing that could impact sales
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
states. If you can't play as you know Nashville or you know Philadelphia or Salt Lake City, then you know
I mean, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for EA Sports, and it's kind of funny, right? Because like everybody lambasted EA for doing that to the fans of sports games and taking competition out of the field. Like it's EA Sports is like, all right, well, no one's allowed to do any more NFL games or MLB games or PGA games or FIFA games, just us. So pretty much everyone else has exited out, and now EA loses their biggest sports moneymaker.
well, and the thing about it is that when EA took over all the major sports, those games did suffer. you know
Yeah, yeah,
they're not as good at I used to be an avid player of football games. Like I love the 2K series. I was forced to go to Madden. I just don't play football games anymore because the Madden games are maddening. So they don't work as well. And there
yeah.
was
But
a
then when
lot
you
of
don't have a competitor, nothing's gonna drive you to make the game better.
right. That's what well,
Yeah,
sales have been lagging for EA Sports, especially with those games. So
yeah.
now they're starting to recognize and they're trying to fix the games, but
We'll
it's like,
see.
you know what?
Do
It's
you see? Do you see any of the other leagues like following FIFA suit, like NFL, MLB?
they're making hand over fist on those licenses. Maybe when those things come up for reevaluation, you see what happened with the NFL. They're moving over to Amazon, right?
Right.
For a lot of the games. Why? Because they went to the highest bidder. So
Yeah.
EA Sports, they're going to have to be doing some real
Yeah.
soul
Did you
searching.
see that? Like Amazon's getting all the Thursday night football.
They stole Kay Adams from Good Morning
Yeah.
Football.
Yeah.
She's hopping ship from the NFL Network over
Yeah.
to Amazon. That's a big thing for them because she
Yeah.
is a huge personality over there. So you know, um, I would imagine you might see a shakeup in terms of video
I
games
think
once
so
once
too, and
those
I think
things.
I think it's been a long time coming. I think competition is good. Competition is good for anything and everything. So
Isn't and just before we wrap this up, isn't NFL 2K making a new football game?
I have no idea.
They are doing an NFL arcade game.
Really? Are we
Yes.
bringing back NFL Blitz?
Yes. So it's not you're not getting the
Dude, I
2K.
loved Blitz.
Yeah, you're not getting the 2K sim, but you're getting an arcade game working with the NFL and the NFLPA. So they do have the
Interesting.
licenses for those those players. So I think you're already starting to see the
Yeah, you're starting to
shift
see like
away.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
so we'll
Well,
we'll see.
anyway,
We'll see.
well, obviously a lot of stuff's been going on. We still, hopefully things. I hope that by the time we record again, that the Yankees are still number one.
I'm sure they will be.
Although it's kind of starting to like look like a little bit of a slip and slide lately.
Yeah,
Some close calls here and there and stuff like that. With some games.
I don't think the
Um,
American League is that good this year. To be honest, I, th- I
what?
think I think a lot of
What?
I think a lot of the super teams are over in the National League.
Oh my
You
goodness.
look at the Dodgers, you look at the Mets, you look at the Braves. I don't have trust in the Red Sox. The Red Sox are going to be horrible this
The Red
year.
Sox are going to be hard this season, but
Um,
the Rays and the Blue Jays, come on.
I don't. The Rays and the Blue Jays haven't impressed me at all so far. I
That's because the
maybe,
Yankees have been so good.
but that's what I'm saying. I don't think you're going to see um, the level of competition that you're going to see in the National League. I think the National League is going to be very much the same way the AFC is to the NFL. You know, but that's a good thing for the Yankees because that means that's less competition for them to get to the World
I
Series, right?
suppose so.
So hey, that's the way it is. But we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, that's the show. Thank you guys for sticking all the way to the end. Once again, please hit that like, rate, share, and subscribe. And hope you guys have fun. Walt, my man, it's a good
Peace
show.
out, brother.
Laters.
Later.